Everybody, Joe here from Passion Unchained. I'm super excited to bring you this guest. He is a guy who I've known for a few years, and I work with him. I'm actually one of his clients, and he's changed my life. This episode is going to be about productivity and how to get the most out of you and any of your goals. He works a lot with entrepreneurs, so if you have a business or if you are a high-functioning career person, then he is perfect for you. And then also for any other goals as well, be it dating or any other thing, because what he's going to talk about is accountability and how having external accountability is a game changer with getting the things that you want done. I have worked with him for the past few months. He just started his business, and he is a guy who helps you get the things you want done in life and helps you achieve the goals that you want to achieve by keeping you accountable, and also by helping you break down your larger goals into bite-sized pieces and very specific plans. So I'm really excited to bring him on. He's been a game changer for my life and my business, and I've achieved a lot with him, much more than I would have otherwise. He has a lot to share. We go deep, we go wide, we go broad, and I'm excited to share this with you. Please let me know in the comments what you learned from this, what you're going to take away from this interview as you listen to it, or any pieces that pop out to you that are really exciting. And also feel free to let me know in the comments or email me any questions that you have for Ravi, because I'm happy to have him on if there's enough interest again. So looking forward to sharing this with you, and without further ado, roll the logo. All right, everybody. Joe from Passion Unchained. You guys know me. This is a special guest I have today. He's a guy that I work with on an everyday basis. He's a guy that I've known for a few years, and a guy that I've seen succeed in a lot of ways in life and get over a lot of deep impasses. Parts of his journey that seemed like it was very tough to get over, but he powered through, and he has a lot to say about a particular thing that's helped him. Ravi, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, first of all, Joe, thank you so much for chatting to me today. It's a pleasure, as ever, to chat with you and share space with you. So I am Ravi. I am an accountability coach, self-improvement fanatic, biohacker, and human who desires to realize his highest potential. It's been a pleasure working with you, Joe, and watching your growth and getting to know you and seeing you undergo a remarkable transformation and change many lives in the process. And I hope we have a great conversation today.
Appreciate the kind words. Ravi, I could say the same about you. You've done a lot of growth since I've known you. You have revamped your love life yourself. You have revamped your the way that you look at your financial. Look, like right now you're building a business rather than being a project manager. And there's a particular business that you're building. I of course know what it is. I'm a customer of yours. I work with you to revamp my own life and my own business through accountability. So what is it that you do? And then we'll get into why that is important to you, because you have a story around that.
Sure. So I'm an accountability coach. The reason I'm an accountability coach is accountability changed my life in ways which are too profound to possibly even begin to capture in mere words. What is accountability? First of all, for the uninitiated, it's useful to give some definitions. How I understand accountability is a mirror. It is a mirror that is held up and requires us to hold ourselves to account and to tell the truth, and to pause and reflect for a moment and to ascertain whether we did what we said we would do. Were we truthful to ourselves? And if not, what's going on there? Creating that space and enabling that to be part of my life in a really public, really open, radically honest way, in the most deep transparency that a human being can possibly put out into the world was deeply transformative for me. And now I'm blessed to be able to leverage the magic of accountability to support my clients in achieving their objectives and goals. But just briefly, I used this to lose 85 pounds, almost 100 pounds and going. I used it to totally overhaul my dating life. I've been on something of a journey, but I'm a man who, coming to the age of 29, really was in a dismal situation and was utterly lost without any sort of hope, and was almost very, very wounded by the life that I'd led up to that moment. That put me in really unfavorable circumstances and in a position which was not looking like it was going to be much of a tale. And through the course of a very intensive self-improvement phase that I initiated with the support of a wonderful tribe, a wonderful group of people, which includes yourself, Joe, a wonderful series of mentors, coaches, peers, brothers in arms, who I held myself radically accountable for. I utterly transformed every aspect of my life, finding intimacy, finding connection, finding the sorts of feelings that were really very elusive for me, that ultimately allowed me to heal myself and become a better man and better member of society. And now make the transition to really listening to my heart and living my passion, and moving from being a project manager, which was something I was good at, but wasn't my passion ultimately. And now I can take what is my passion, which is desire to succeed and break past limits and remove obstacles. As you know, I've certainly had many that I had to remove, and now I can do this for other people, and it's the joy of my life. It doesn't feel like work. It's just a beautiful thing that I love. I love to remove obstacles for myself and for other people, and just to see growth. It's beyond the total honor that I found this sort of work that I can now push forward into and develop as a businessman around. That's sort of the relevance to me, and kind of where our paths intersected.
Mm-hmm. So you, just to summarize, you had a few things you wanted to change in your life, and you've been a project manager for a while, and you joined this group that I was a part of, and you decided to work on your love life in particular. And through this accountability you had with the group, because you were given tasks and you had to say, yes, I did these things, or no, I did not do these things, and gave you this vulnerability to have to be truthful to everybody. And that clear yes or no, did I not do, allowed you to actually make progress in things that you were stuck on for a long time. And that was very meaningful to you.
Precisely, Joe. That is a very accurate summary. But just to give you some more there, as you allude to, as someone who I was very grateful to have met and who was a very enormous support to me in the process of change and transformation. I started this journey more than just dissatisfied with my love life. That would be an understatement, Joe. It would be, since
I remember.
Me and you both know the truth, Joe. I was, let's put it truthfully, I was absolutely destroyed as a human being. I was fucked 8 ways from Sunday. I was in a horrendous state, and I needed help. And in a time of need, I came to a group amongst men I respected and people who had what I wanted, which was the abundance, which was the groundedness, the masculinity, was the sense of control, sense of clarity. If they wanted to go on, they could do so. If they wanted to engage in intimacy with a lady, they could do so. If it was casual, if it was serious, they had the opportunity to choose. And up till that moment in my life, I had no capacity to choose whatsoever. To be quite transparent, it was something that utterly wounded me to the core of my being and produced feelings of depression, hopelessness, and isolation, and bleakness, and low self-worth that I carried for 29 years. I had never really been on a date at that moment in my life. Coming to the group and coming to in connecting with yourself and our mutual mentors and coaches, and there was several factors that contributed to that. Part of it was big problem that I used to have, which was inability to really stick at things and be a very thorough executor and push beyond limits was a big problem for me. I gave into my beliefs that I was unattractive, not worthy. I gave into my belief that I was somehow malcreated and didn't deserve anyone to be nice to me or kind to me or had any worth to give to anyone else in the world. It was a very low self-esteem situation I lived in for most of my life, and I was not able to push past that on my own. But the beauty was when I came to a group where I could tell the truth, ask for help from a meaningful, truly heartfelt place, and then hold myself publicly accountable to my group and my peers and coaches and mentors and everyone else who observed that at this moment, almost 300,000 people have read my log.
Yeah,
remarkable.
It's funny. I was talking to Pau, and so the guy, both you and I know, he's a guy that is an SEO.
Friends.
Yeah, he's an SEO guy, and he's been helping me with my website. And he suggested, he's like, hey, you should just like, I know you said you're posting on the forums every single day, but just post on Pau's log, because that's public and it gets a ton of views, and you'll just get a bunch of backlinks. It's like, like post on just congratulate him every day, and then you'll just get a bunch of backlinks, because in your signature is people who are listening don't really understand, but it's just a funny thing he said.
Yeah, but the curious thing is accountability. So many people are viewing it every day. So many people are checking, did he do it or did he not? The whole system that I approached, that I developed, and that I really refined and honed throughout the process of transforming myself and healing myself and getting the love life that I wanted, was a system I developed to turn myself from a person who couldn't push past limits, who couldn't stick at things, who couldn't get things done, who was a procrastinator, who was not a iron-willed executor that I am known for now, who was not the disciplined workhorse, or I would say the warrior.
So it was you doing it, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it was you doing it on your log that helped you realize that it was what you needed. And so then you're like, well, I know I need this, so I imagine a lot of others would need this as well.
Precisely, Joe. Exactly. The point that you make there was something that, through the process of executing that in public and observing how it works, observing how I went from a very anxious, nervous, hurt, emotionally, quite, I'd say, low self-esteem, low self-worth type of person, to becoming someone who's confident, who's grounded, who can hold space, who can project his energy out into the world. The process was so transformational. And I learned so much about myself and about life and about achievement and about success and how you accomplish your goals. And it was a wonderful kind of synergy between the life experiences I had, the formative experiences, my career, which I was good at as a project manager. I was very proud of what I could do that. And I was also very proud of the lessons I learned throughout my health recovery journey. So there has been, of course, this was a very challenging life. There was
85 pounds is not shabby. 85 pounds is impressive, man.
Yeah, there was a lot to overcome, my friend. There was a lot to overcome. This was a journey. We could have a long conversation about this, but just to get to the position where I could even join the group, that was a process of taking myself from being an agoraphobic, housebound shut-in who didn't leave the house for 2 years, who was at his parents' place, unable to work, unable to function in any way because of such extreme high-level anxiety that I couldn't even think for a second.
Wow. And now you're doing street interviews on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. This is a testament. All the things that I learned, all the overall framework and the accountability process that I put together, I did so because I needed to save my life from the depths. I needed to change myself from being unable to execute and unable to be properly balanced and functional and perform highly. When you're navigating things like chronic fatigue syndrome, extreme anxiety disorders, phobias, obsessions, generalized anxiety, social anxiety, you have an utter litany of problems like insomnia, brain fog, all these. I was dying. I was absolutely dying. I was probably sometimes quite close to death, and it's just a miracle that I survived. But the name of my business is Iron Will. The name of that is testament to what got me through those incredibly difficult challenges in my life. It was sheer determination to find a solution, to simply accept no other possibility than success, to sit down day in, day out, 14 to 16 hours a day and trying to work out how I could solve this problem. And I developed a system that I now teach and that I now use to empower other people. It was a mixture of structure, day planning, project management. It was a mixture of wellness, spiritual healing, some psychology and some coaching. It was a combination of a multitude of factors which I applied to myself, honed through a process of radical, hardcore self-improvement, which was done publicly and with peers in the group, and crystallized to form the business that I now run, which is Iron Will Accountability. Saved my life, allowed me to become basically an achievement machine who's able to, you see, for me, Joe, the fundamental gift that I gave myself was I gave myself the ability to have a vision in my mind and be able to bring that into reality. That's what accountability did for me. I gave myself the gift that if I have something in my mind, a goal, an objective, or a vision, all I need to do is develop an action plan. And thereafter, I know how to make myself execute every single day until that goal is achieved. And that is the greatest gift. That is the fundamental underlying brain change that I deliberately imparted on myself. And now I seek to do with other people. Because, for example, with yourself, Joe, once I've fully trained you on how to be fully accountable, be fully consistent, and you understand the underlying process, you understand that whatever you want to do in your business, you look at the goal, you break it down into key activities, you develop processes in relation to those, you implement some form of accountability, which is an additional layer, which allows all those to come together. And thereafter, it's just a case of us managing it. We just have to do that every day, monitor it, witness the impacts. We check it regularly. And if we're moving in the right direction, then we will ultimately get to where we need to get. And that was the culmination of these things, and the culmination of this journey is, in essence, hardcore accountability. That is the unifying, underlying principle that underpinned my transformation, is the contribution I want to make to the world.
There's one thing that I've noticed with accountability with you is it's not a very complicated process, and the way that we talk about it here sounds like it's a really intense, like, oh my God, there's going to be so much work, a bunch of hours every single day working on myself. But when and I'm sure like each client has a different approach. But what I've found is the main thing that's helped me out a lot is the consistency I'm able to do when I have to say, hey, Ravi, I did do this, or hey, Ravi, I didn't do this. I'm like, there are some times where I'm about to send you a message where it's like, I did everything but this thing. And I'm like, well, why don't I just do that thing right now? And then tell him that I did it. And then he doesn't have to know that I almost didn't. Like, it doesn't matter if I almost didn't do it. It just matters if I did it. And there are a lot of times before I worked with you where I had a list for myself. Like, I understood breaking everything down even before I worked with you to like smaller steps. But then I'd go through the day, I'd be like, yeah, I don't really have to like do that. It's not that important. When that is the important thing, I just didn't want to do it. And there's so many times I think everybody, even high achieving folks, if they don't have any accountability, they could easily be like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. Who cares? But when you have to say, Joe, like, hey, Ravi, I didn't do this. Well, then that gives me incentive to be like, well, I mean, it's going to take like 5 minutes. Why don't I just do it? Why don't I just like do it and then tell Ravi I did it, and then I get to feel good about myself at the end of the day. And then I also get to be one step closer to my goal rather than just deluding myself into thinking I'm getting there.
I love that. Yeah. So, Joe, this is the magic, and this is the curious thing, and this is where we can talk about human nature, the human animal biology, and what we are, and how we work and how we function. There's a bunch I want to talk about here and could riff on all day, to be quite frank, but I'll just pick up on a few pieces. When it comes to the actual work that we do, the actual day-to-day, the curious thing is we can have some preconceptions around what it takes to move ourselves forward and what it takes to actually get to the next level in our life. But in fact, there's something of a counterintuitive truth here. And the counterintuitive truth is that it only really takes baby steps. It only really takes small actions done every day. It only really takes, some effort. But it doesn't involve you having to completely re-engineer the world. It doesn't involve you having to completely overcome your demons or go to war with reality. If you like, it's known as a slight edge, and something both
I was trying to see if I had it.
I thought you were, Joe.
I have it, but I gave it to somebody. I believe it was a photography client, because I already have everything up in here. I don't need the book anymore. So I often give books out that have been impactful for me that I don't need to read anymore. Plus, I have a Kindle now that I use for all my books. That's just for show.
Just seems smart, just so everyone knows. Joe from Passion and Change is a cerebral intellectual chap. He's going to do
it. I have a Kindle that I use, so I do read, but I gave out the Slight Edge book to somebody. I also gave out another book that is amazing. Well, I mean, it's not relevant to our conversation. But yeah, Slight Edge, man, that was, so I intuitively understood that, because you and I both have been through an extreme weight loss journey. I lost about 100 pounds. You lost about 85. I've gained about 15 back, so I guess you could say I've lost the same amount as you did, about 85. I'm going back to losing that 15, so I'll be there again. But there's a magic, like one, I actually had a mushroom trip recently, and I already understood this, but I understood everything at a deeper level, and there's something that I don't remember who said this. I think it might have been on the Slight Edge, actually. It was either in the Slight Edge or it was in Atomic Habits, but it was a quote that was like, most people get really excited and motivated about things, and then they do a flurry of activity, like a bunch of things, kind of like a New Year's resolution, where everybody goes to the gym for a month, or maybe 2, or maybe 3, but very few people will be in the gym in April. And that's a flurry of activity. And those flurries of activity, they might push you forward like a couple steps further than when you started. But then once you lose the motivation, which is like, I'm excited to do this, that's motivation. Like, I want to do this is motivation. Once you lose that, if you don't have the discipline or even the accountability, which accountability, if it removes the need for discipline, then you're not going to continue doing the things, and you're just going to slide back. You might take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, and that's not helping anyone. But if instead of taking 2 steps forward, you take a little, like not even a step, just like a little bit forward, but you do that every day and never step backwards, like I would rather do a very, very, like 10 push-ups a day than like try to do 100 and then fail and then not keep doing it, because then I'm not moving towards my goal.
Yeah. So completely agree with the sentiment here. What a fantastic encapsulation of consistency. And if you like, a ode to the tale, the nursery, well, the tale that we've all heard, is collective wisdom for our species, the tortoise and the hare. Yeah. Tortoise, plod along. Yeah. You'll plod along methodically, slowly. You'll take a step every single day, and it doesn't seem like it's a lot. Whereas the hare will be off to the races, going full tilt. But who wins the race? Mm-hmm. In this one, it's actually...
That's tortoise does, yeah.
Yeah, because he just keeps going. And these tales, the fables, right? And they capture like an essence of the human spirit and the nature of our organism, and that they are wisdom from the ages, and they're valuable. And I like it. But to kind of flesh out the point a little bit here that I think we both agree with very much. So what are we actually trying to do here when we are looking to be a higher achieving person? When we've got, for example, like yourself, Joe, you are running a business, you are getting wonderful transformations of people and making a powerful contribution to people's lives, and empowering them to have choice, empowering them to have freedom, empowering them to create situations which otherwise they may not be in the position to do. And why I really fundamentally think that you do really important work in this world is that you give people the opportunity to have a rounded, satisfying, joyful human experience. These things are not to be missed out upon. This is to be prioritized. This is an important area of life. It is important for everything. And it's important for you to have a life whereby beautiful, positive memories are created. This is so it's important. It's clearly important to my heart, and this is why I want to really support you in the work that you're doing and push it further. But when it comes to what we're trying to achieve with yourself, with myself, it's real works in progress. What we're looking to achieve is to be people who are fundamentally productive, people who are able to execute, people who are able to overcome their resistance on a day-to-day basis and make some form of progress, no matter how small or no matter how seemingly piecemeal, on a consistent basis. Because with sufficient consistency, the compound effect kicks in, and it is something of a miracle of the universe that enables us to get higher and higher. Now, what is actually happening in the brain when we are adopting this approach of taking action consistently in some capacity on a daily basis? What we're actually doing is we're retraining and rewiring our brain. We're building new neural pathways. In the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, he talks a lot about the power of focus and how one can build focus and actually achieve more in less time. The thrust of the book is neuroplasticity and conditioning. One of the most well-proven theories in psychology is the theory of, well, it's not really a theory, it's simply how the brain works, operant conditioning. How we learn anything in life is through a process of conditioning where neural pathways are laid down in our brain. Behavior is repeated again and again and again and again until it is ingrained. I can't now forget how to play guitar. I've done it for so long that my body and my nervous system knows how to do it. I can't forget how to drive a car. I've done it for so long, my body and my brain and my nervous system knows how to do it. Even if I was to go, like I just did, and live in London for quite a significant duration of time, I was there for almost 2 years, and I didn't drive there. I was using public transport, as you do in London. But when I came back here, I got in my car and it was a bit funny for about 30 seconds, and then we're off to the races. What we're really wanting to do with the work that we do is we want to train our brain.
Although you were driving on the wrong side of the road.
Oh, that's controversial. I was very controversial. If I was to go over there and drive on the side that I drive, if I was to go over there to Austin, I would upset people very much, Joe, going around on the left side of the road with this accent. I tried to find a local pub, and I think I'll be driving for quite some time.
There is a really nice British pub, but back to the point. There's conditioning, and your brain works by doing things over and over again.
Yeah, precisely. So what we're looking to achieve is to fundamentally take someone and put them in a position where it is very normal for them. In fact, it is the baseline for their brain just to get up and to execute and to live a structured, process-driven life. To understand that this is what I need to do today, and to put mechanisms and tactics in place to ensure that they're able to do that. That's what I do with you, Joe. I have you execute and then send me your task list for tomorrow, and then I check in with you and you do it again. And what we're doing is we're training you in it's not so much training you as a person, but rather we're laying down pathways in your brain. Every day we're putting another brick in the wall, and we're just training your mind over and over again to just execute. It's a normal thing. Every time we do this, we overcome procrastination. Procrastination is when we don't have the neural pathways in our brain that can enable us to break through resistance. All of these things are learned. All of these things are patterns we need to develop in our brains. It's like lifting weights in the gym. If someone goes to the gym and they can't bench press 2 plates the first time they go, that's not because they haven't got the capacity to do that in their organism. It's because they haven't built the muscle and the strength and the coordination. What we try to do with the work that we do is we try to train people's minds, almost like lifting weights, to such that to be able to work solidly and be focused and just execute and build momentum every day is a very normal thing. And in time, it becomes ingrained into the subconscious. And thereafter, that person is free. That person has control and autonomy. And it's my ideal with yourself, Joe, to get you where you are so effectively able to get the specific objective that you've got done on a month-to-month basis, that you don't need any accountability, that is normal for you. And at that point, should you wish to dream even bigger, that's something we can talk about. But the fundamental value that I want to exchange is I want you to live a life whereby it is a very basic principle. You decide what you're going to do the evening before, and then you're able to do so because you've trained your mind to do so. And that will enable you to be free and to achieve exactly everything you want to achieve.
Yeah, it's been great, man. There's, like I said before, there are so many times where I am like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do all that. And then I'm about to message you. It's maybe like, it's not like super late in the evening. Maybe it's like 9. And I'm like, I'm about to message you, Ravi. It's like, oh, I did everything but these 2 things. And I'm like, well, that won't take that long. What if I just do them now and then message Ravi? And I'm getting like, it used to be that I would, before I worked with you, I thought I was very consistent. And I was probably more consistent than most, maybe like top 75%, maybe top 80%. But there were a lot of things I was doing, a lot of key things. I had a habit of not necessarily doing the thing I needed to do, but doing the things that made me feel productive, which weren't always the things that would move the needle. Like sometimes it's like, oh, I'd love to post one of my photos to Instagram, and that moves the needle a little bit, but it doesn't move the needle nearly as much as me reaching out to see if I can do a guest post for somebody. Because putting that guest post up, it'll get me traffic, it'll get me SEO cred, it'll move my business, a lot further in a more evergreen way. And the Instagram post will just be a little small hit of traffic and of benefit. So it was a huge thing for me to be like, instead of just doing the things that feel easy and also make me feel good about myself, I'm now able to do the things that actually move the needle on a consistent basis, even if I don't necessarily want to. And it's not that hard for me anymore.
You see, isn't this a curious thing? Isn't this an interesting thing? This is one of the things that when you observe people who are possibly new to their craft and new to the game of success and achievement, new to the game of effectivity, productivity, sometimes these little tricks, these little concepts of needle movers, of key tasks that will actually make a difference aren't super discernible to them. But in time, when you have achieved and when you've gone forward and you've actually changed yourself and actually set objectives and gotten them done year after year, you learn about the game of success. You learn about the deep inner game of success and realization of potential in this world, and how a human being can become greater than they are through accomplishment. And you learn these things that you allude to here. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I heard. So when it comes to needle movers and when it comes to people's proclivity, if you like, to sometimes shy away from them and sometimes not even bother to identify them in the first place, sometimes that's because the needle movers are challenging. Sometimes it's because we have resistance towards them. Sometimes I like to describe needle movers as the dragon that we must slay. If you like, in life, when we have an objective, there are certain dragons that one may have to go about slaying. If you're an individual that doesn't like to necessarily communicate with people and you have to close sales, that can be a dragon that one may have to go about slaying. If you're someone who doesn't want to do marketing because you think it might be misleading or it might be something that is superfluous or whatever it may be, you will have to go through the process of slaying that dragon to enable you to be the best business person you can be. Now, when it comes to our objectives and our goals, unless we have real clarity on what will move the needle, we run the very real risk of engaging in behaviors and practices and putting our energy and time and focus into things that won't actually get us to where we want to get. And in the Pareto, precisely, spinning our wheels, as many people are liable to do. But the Pareto principle in economics is a principle whereby we understand that 80% of results are produced by 20% of the efforts. So in identifying needle movers, what we want to do is people who are very serious about achieving our objectives. We want to have an open kind of conversation like we did, Joe, and identify what will really make the difference here. What is the biggest thing that will make the difference here? And how can we dive into that, maximize that, and get to our goal? And then there's a question of, once that's identified, monitoring it like we do, and observing the impacts like we do, and continually tweaking and course correcting. And this is where this partnership has to occur between me and you, Joe. Like, almost it's like a business partnership. It is your business, of course, but your success is my business. What I'm trying to do, what I thrive off, and indeed what my objective is in my work, is to get you to that specific metric that you've identified. So your success is, in fact, my success. Thereafter, we enter into something of a business partnership. And it's my responsibility to walk beside you and ask you these questions and be there as a space for you to share and for us to join our skills and abilities and solve problems until we are actually able to move that needle. And that's where the growth is, Joe. You know, like, as anything, you're an individual with tremendous depth and breadth as a human being. You know, you've got a broad range of interests, passions, just something that we both are interested in, for example.
Just look at my books.
Yes. And we can have long conversations about a multitude of different topics, you know, and evidently with a bookshelf like that, this is not an individual who's going to be running short of ideas anytime soon. But yeah, consider the gym. Consider when we're looking to transform our body like we both did, Joe. You know, you had a fantastic transformation, as you can see from this incredible physique that is here presented before you today. And I have had a transformation myself, and it's something that I'm continuously working on. But in terms of the changes, what really mattered, what moved the needle, it was tracking calories, it was going to the gym, and anything else, whether it was reading weight loss books or posting motivational quotes or setting goals or informing my friends that I'm going to finally change or buying new clothes. That really wasn't the activity that made the difference. What made the difference, what moved the needle, was tracking my calories.
The actual things.
There you go.
And that's why you have a lot of people that talk. They're like, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Like, there are a lot of goals that I have that are further off that I've talked about that I've been maybe laying the small groundwork, but I haven't really been doing. But aside from that, like, there are a lot of people who are like, I'm going to lose weight this year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But they just say those things. And then there's one thing I notice is when I have a goal that I haven't taken action towards, and I talk about it, then I get a lot of positive feedback and a lot of good feeling about myself that I haven't earned. And so then I'm like, well, I don't really need to actually take action because I feel like I'm productive. I feel like I'm moving towards it. And all I've done is I've told my friend, like, I want to lose weight this year. But like, I told you that I'm losing my 15 pounds, but I've already taken action on that. I've already started counting my calories again. I've already set a goal for myself. I've already put a bowl of oranges out in front so I eat those instead of other things. I've already bought a bunch of protein powders so I can make sure I have the protein if I need it. I've already done those things. And that's why I'm comfortable saying, hey, Ravi, I'm losing those 15 pounds I gained. But a lot of people, they get in the habit of it feels good to be like, hey, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. They're like, yay, way to go. That's an awesome, like, good on you for making that decision. But not everyone has the found work, like the habit, like the mental, like you were talking about, the building up the brick by brick. They don't have the habit of actually doing anything about it. So I've found for myself, at least, it's useful if I don't know how much I'm motivated to do it, or even just in general as default, start taking action first and then tell people rather than the other way around.
Love that, Chad. So it's an interesting commentary on the human species, then the human animal there, when it comes to our proclivity to delude ourselves. I think it was Sigmund Freud who said that self-deception is the most powerful force in the universe. The extent to which we can give ourselves a false sense of progress. I think many people live their life in entire days, and they go decades without really actually making robust, meaningful progress. Many people in this world, I think, are victim to the collective kind of mental illness of just haze, of comfort seeking, of sailing through life in a walking days, if you like, and then one day waking up and wondering where all the time went. And what I try to do with my work is to get specific, measurable, outcome results driven. And when we're talking accountability, I will want to know exactly what was done every single day. Was it done or was it not? Every day. We will talk every day about this.
There was a thing yesterday. So I'm currently porting my website back over to WordPress. I switched it over to off of WordPress to a different builder, and now I'm going back to WordPress. And the task was to do an hour of work on it yesterday, and I ended up doing somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. And I was tempted because, like, your system is I have to say done or fail, and there's no other options. And I can like say fail and then later explain it in a different message. But in that, in the message that I tell you, the summary of the day, is only two options, and that's it. And so it forces me to be like, you know, because like if I was not working with you, I'd be like, oh yeah, 45 minutes is fine, I did it. Like that's good. But it doesn't help me because I did technically fail it. Now, it was understandable. I had a shoot yesterday, plus I went to see our Lord and Savior, Joe Rogan, who rules over all people everywhere. I went to see him tell jokes here in Austin, and so like it's fair enough. And I did 45 minutes is most of it, but I had to say I failed at that, and that like keeps me accountable because there's a lot of gray area, and it's really easy for us, or for me, I'll just talk for me, and I think this is universal. It's really easy for me to be like, well, the intention of that was that I get some work done and I get closer to it. I did a lot of work, but I didn't do exactly what I said. And what I said and what I confirmed that morning was I'm going to do an hour of work on the website. I did not do an hour of work on the website. And I think that's very like important, that it's a very clear yes or no, and that you can explain the gray area later and figure out whether it was okay or not. But like that did you or did you not? And no, and at least at the beginning, to answer that in a very clear yes or no has helped me a lot, not to delude myself.
Yeah. You see, it's a curious thing doing this work. When people have the mirror raised to them, and we as people can look into the mirror, because it's our own reflection, we want to be truthful to ourselves. We don't want to delude ourselves. I am a person who is utterly non-judgmental. I'm here not to, if you like, crack the whip, not to yell, not to push. Rather, I'm here to walk beside people and listen.
Imagine you yelling.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, you can set boundaries, like, for sure, but I couldn't. I don't know if I could imagine you like yelling at me.
Yeah, because Joe, if it worked, I'd be open to exploring it. But what actually works is being compassionate with people, understanding them, and understanding that when it comes to removing people's blocking factors and supporting them and being their best, it is often not simply that they didn't get to do that action today, or they just simply couldn't do it. People are very complicated. This is an interesting species that we're amongst. What often blocks people, you start to learn when you've got a system that I use, where it's true or it's false or it's passed or it's failed or it's done or it's failed. When you are so accountable and truthful and you are transparent, it enables us to get an insight into you. We can, when we are able to account what did we do or what didn't we do, we can then ask a follow-up question, or what could we do next time to eliminate the likelihood of this happening. And what happens at that point is people will tell you where they are. People will begin to share what is going on inside with them. And my clients, there's a broad range of clients, a lot of different people I work with, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, people wanting to be healthier, wealthier, more productive. It's curious that once you begin to account for things, you'll learn that people have deeply held beliefs that are utterly inappropriate for them to achieve their goal. You will learn that people have just totally dysregulated lives with no regularity in sleep and wake up time and time to bed. There is so much going on cognitively and physiologically that you can begin to uncover It becomes a very interesting mission when you're working with people. It becomes something of a detective situation. And when we can look at this and observe this and create a non-judgmental space for us to be accountable every day, we can do some more holistic work and uncover what is actually stopping this person. So far, it's, in my opinion, and perhaps it'd be interesting to hear what you've got to say, because you've been on a journey. I've seen you from the start of this when you were not a business person, when you were finding your feet in business, and then you did find your feet, and now you've been able to build a new business. But from what I've observed with people in my journey so far as an accountability coach, it's just beliefs. If someone really believes they can do something, and it is in their subconscious, and they have a clear concept inside their mind, inside their soul and their spirit, that this is just reasonable for them, of course they can do it, then they will show up and they will make tangible steps progressively towards a realization of that vision. But when people are simply unable to do anything, and to take you back to the example that you the picture that you painted of someone who declares they're going to lose weight and nothing really happens. In my opinion, having been coaching people for some time, usually that's because of something that's going on inside. Beliefs. Do they think it's even possible for them to do this? Can they actually, are they insecure about something? Is there some aspect of them, that is, they haven't really worked on yet? Is there pain there? Is there wounding there? Is there something that happened in that person, a negative experience that they're still carrying? I was 275 pounds. I was really obese. And I was like that for years. And it wasn't because I couldn't discipline myself to follow a diet, because I tried. Inevitably, it would come off the rails a little bit. What actually was happening in that process was, I was not ready to lose that weight, because I knew if I lost that weight, I'd have to face the rest of my life. And I'd have to face my insecurities.
You'd have to face girls, because now girls would be into you.
Exactly, Joe. That Joe, really, that was it.
Yeah, I identify with that a lot. That similar thing for me, for losing the weight, and then also getting over a lot of mental blocks. Like, I had a lot of opinions about myself, like, oh, I'm not ready, because I had a lot of chaos in my childhood, and a lot of that gave me, like, I had this belief that women were dangerous and women were inherently manipulative and would gaslight and hurt me. And so a lot of me was like, I had to teach myself that it was okay to go and do these things, to lose this weight, to go and talk to girls, to hang out with a girl more than once, and to not push her away, because that was the thing I would do a lot, is I'd push girls away. It was, there were several things that I would do that it would just get in my own way. And with business, it's something I'm actually still working through, but there's a sense in myself that I don't deserve stability, and so there's these insecurities, and just based on past experience, bullshit that doesn't really matter. And I've worked through a lot of it, but there definitely, I agree with you in that our mind can be our greatest ally or our greatest enemy, and by our mind, it's more like our subconscious. I'm a big fan of psychedelics, and I recently worked with a hypnotherapist, and he helped me, as well as psychedelics and working with them, helped me, first of all, be aware of the things I truly believe at a deeper level, because sometimes at the conscious level, I'm like, oh yeah, I deserve these things, of course I do. But then I didn't realize that, like, these experiences that I've had in the past, I've created beliefs because of them that are holding me back, that they're undermining me, that are like kicking the legs out from under the chair before I can even sit on it. It's like, that's not going to help me. It's not like at a conscious level. Sometimes you have to, either through talk therapy or some other modality, like, work through those. And then, like, the accountability is a way to push past it, and then also to uncover it so you can actually work on them, because you can't work on something you don't know is there. You have to know it's there first.
Exactly. So that's beautiful, Joe. Thank you for sharing that. I do really appreciate that. Of course, we know each other in a capacity that possibly many people who haven't been in a group like we were in, where we shared very vulnerable times. And you saw me at some of my worst, because I was going through things and I had to remove that from my subconscious. And you were very cognizant that I still, I'm in a process and I'm still healing. I'm still healing. But in being transparent and typing up my thoughts and journaling and being truthful and honest, I'm uncovering, unwiring, reletting, and making myself vulnerable, and holding myself to the highest level of integrity I can to admit that there's things that I hold on to, and I'm letting go of that are things that, once they are dislodged, will enable me to go far, far higher. But yeah, when it comes to some of the unproductive things in our subconscious, look, in my opinion, the classical concept of give me a child until he's 7 and I'll show you the man. We're really impressionable in our childhood. We're really, really, really impressionable. I certainly had a tumultuous time myself, to put it very mildly. It was a challenging situation. It was a very traumatic and difficult upbringing. And that made me in a position where I was quite frail in my identity, and I had a very deep sense of scarcity and lack and uncertainty about my physical safety, or what would happen to people I love, and so on. It was a turbulent situation. And now, as a man of 31 who's been on a 12-year journey of healing, of recovery, of self-realization and actualization, I've come to a very similar conclusion that you have, Joe. It's our subconscious, as one of our mutual mentors, Andy, would say, you almost in life realize and get what you subconsciously believe you deserve. It's almost a depiction of your life outcomes. And negative experiences, the challenging things that have happened a long time ago, they churn away in the subconscious. They're there. They've wounded us in our life. They've caused us pain and anguish in our life. And our subconscious is there to protect us, and it's not its fault. It is trying to keep us away from danger. But these things, they're there. They're very, in a part of our mind which is not discernible because it's not conscious. It's way, way underneath the surface. It's what circulates our blood, digests our food. It's just beyond our control. It's beyond our reach. But in that part of our mind, these experiences continue to proliferate and swirl around, and they function to really make us sabotage ourselves, make us behave in ways which are absolutely not conducive with achievement and consistency. And they will manifest in extremely inventive and strange ways, and we will simply engage in processes and behaviors that will throw us off course without even knowing it. So where accountability supports us, and whether you're with someone like me who's a coach and we're doing it intensively, or you're doing it for a journal, or you're doing it in some other capacity, just the process of holding yourself to account and looking into the mirror every day and being truthfully honest and radically transparent, these things will be uncovered. And once they're uncovered, you can work on them. And healing is possible for everybody, regardless of where you are, who you are, what position you're in, what deficits you perceive that you've undergone. We're both living proof that transformation can occur if the individual is there to do the work and will persist.
That's what this is about.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so this is I gotta flex.
Flex the wonderful bicep.
This is I just did a workout earlier. It had a lot of tricep stuff in it, so I was a little pumped up. But that is a Greek phrase, "know thesauton," which translates to "know thyself." It was one of the core tenets at the beginning and the foundation of Western civilization. At the Oracle of Apollo at Delphi, the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, it was inscribed as one of the Delphic maxims. It was one of, I believe, Aristotle, but it might be Socrates, wrote about this phrase and this concept a lot. This know thyself, be aware. I mean, people interpret it in many different ways. One of the interpretations is be aware of the makeup of your psyche and what your beliefs and all that stuff, and knowing yourself, you will you'll unlock everything. So I would love to share with, if somebody in my audience wants accountability, they want to get this benefit, they might be feeling unproductive, or like they're not moving towards their goals, or that they have a lot of blocks and they don't really know how to get from here to there, and they want to seek your help. How would they find you?
Yeah. So you can contact me at ironwillcoach@gmail.com. I'm in the process of getting my web pages up, my social media pages up. I'm being guided to pursue this work, and it's my full-on obsession. I would love to learn how I could support people and help them realize their highest potential. So right now, you can drop me an email, which I'll supply to our friend Joe, who can put it in the notes. It is ironwillcoach@gmail.com. And I would love to learn more about how I can support people and bring them into the tribe.
All right. And when your website is up and your social media, that will also be in the description. So if you're curious how to contact him, ironwillcoach@gmail.com, and then look in the description to see if there are any other links. Anything that is up will be there. And I can attest that it's helped me a lot. I've talked throughout the interview about some benefits I've gotten from it. Definitely a lot more productive when it comes to my business and my life. And it's not just my business I'm working with you on, a few other things as well. And it's been great, because I can, one of the things is like keeping myself accountable takes mental energy. So all that mental energy I was using to make sure I do what I did, now I can let that go and apply that to actually doing the things, because it's you that's keeping me accountable. So I can just free up that part of my brain and be like, cool, I'm doing this now. I'm just going to do the things. Kind of like when I go to a fitness class versus go to the gym on my own. If I go to the gym on my own, part of my energy has to be pushing myself. But if I'm going to a fitness class, it's like the instructor is the one pushing myself, and I can focus all of my effort on actually doing the exercise. It's a similar thing here.
That's the magic. We're very tribal as creatures. We respond to these things. We respond to each other socially. Success leaves clues. There's the old maxim, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Mm.
What you put real focus on in your life, if you put real dedication into things and you take no half measures, that is how you actually get to success. That's how you model success. And in the work that we're doing, all we're really doing is just bringing a magnifying glass, and we're focusing on the actions that matter. And I'm just walking alongside you to realize these things, taking up mental bandwidth and supporting you throughout that process, yes. But this is a very human, very normal, very, if you like, natural and holistic way to achieve things. Yeah. We see this every day in the world. Even people who are somewhat party animals and may not have all their wellness and life together, when it's time to go to work, they will show up on time, because if they don't, they'll be asked by their manager, why not at 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
This is a testament to just the nature of our organism and how we are tribal, and how we learn socially, and how we defer to the people around us, and how once we develop a social dynamic, we set a certain precedent, then we will respond to that. And we can leverage that in our favor with things like accountability coaching to attain and achieve our objectives. And I can certainly say that you've been a very interesting person to work with. I've learned a lot in working with you. You're extremely consistent. You really have been very good. You've been very, very excellent to work with. And of course, I think your journey is just beginning, to be quite honest. I think you're really excellent at what you do. I think you're one of the best people in the world at what you do. Sincerely.
Thank you.
I think you've helped a lot of people. I think you have an important role in this world. I look forward to going over there and doing work with you and being able to benefit from your skills.
Yeah.
and that will be a wonderful investment for me. I'll be extremely happy to have that, and have that to reflect on and enjoy. So I'm excited to see where you go as well, Joe, with your growth and your journey.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate this, and this was an awesome chat, and I'm looking forward to editing this and putting it up there.
Fantastic. Let's get it out there to the people. It was a total pleasure, Joe, and hopefully we could do it again sometime.
100%.
Awesome.